It's been 7 years since the hashtag #MeToo movement exploded out of Hollywood, and it really felt like it was going to change the industry forever. But did it? Today, we're going to open up the report card, take a good look, and see what's really shifted, what's stuck, and why all of this still matters so much.
So let's rewind. It all kicked off with those bombshell revelations about producer Harvey Weinstein. All of a sudden, what people used to just call the casting couch, kind of a dark, open secret, was laid bare for what it really was: a deep, systemic pattern of harassment and abuse. And it shook the industry to its very core.
Right, and this wasn't just about a few bad apples. The movement pulled back the curtain on an industry-wide crisis. A crisis of safety, of seriously unbalanced power dynamics, and, when you get right down to it, a total breakdown of trust between performers and the people holding all the power.
And if you look at the timeline, it's pretty wild. The phrase "Me Too" actually goes all the way back to 2006 from activist Tarana Burke. But it was those Weinstein stories in 2017 that were the spark. That hashtag went viral, and it felt like, almost overnight, the industry had nowhere to hide. It forced them to confront their problems, which led to totally new roles being created to keep people safe on set.
And out of this chaos, a really practical solution started to take hold. A job designed specifically to protect actors when they are at their absolute most vulnerable. And that is the intimacy coordinator.
So, what in the world is an intimacy coordinator? Well, think of them as a specialist, kind of like a stunt coordinator, but for scenes with nudity or simulated sex. Their entire job is to make sure the set is a safe, professional, and consensual space where every single performer's boundaries are front and center. And their job is huge. They wear a ton of different hats. They're an advocate, giving a voice to performers who might be afraid to speak up. They're a liaison, basically translating what the director wants into movements that are safe and agreed upon. And yeah, they're even a mediator, making sure consent is clear every step of the way. And make no mistake, this isn't just some informal helper on set. This role has become so important that it's now being formally studied by legal experts, like here in the Fordham Law Journal, as a really key way to protect performers and, frankly, to minimize legal risk for studios.
Actress Blake Lively made what I think is the perfect comparison. She said, we have coordinators for stunts and for big dance numbers, so why would intimate scenes, which are just as choreographed and have their own risks, be any different? It's just common sense. It's about safety.
So, the big question, has any of this actually changed the culture? Well, according to a huge survey from the Hollywood Commission, the first part of the answer is, yeah, it has. Let's dig into the numbers.
Get this, 82%. That's the percentage of entertainment workers who now say they know what counts as unacceptable behavior at work. That's a really solid jump from just a few years ago, and it shows that awareness is definitely on the rise. And it's not just knowing what's wrong. Almost 3/4 of workers now know how to report a problem if they see one. That means these new reporting systems are actually getting through to people. So far so good, right?
But, and this is a big but, here's where the report card gets a lot more complicated. Because while awareness is way up, the belief that anyone will actually do something about it, especially if a powerful person is involved, well, that tells a completely different story.
Which brings us right back to that original question. With awareness so high, you'd think, okay, we're on the right track. The problem's getting fixed. But when you ask people about accountability, wow, the picture changes fast.
Just look at this gap. Only about 31% of all workers, and that number drops to just 27% for women, actually believe a powerful person would be held accountable for harassment. I mean, that's a massive disconnect. It shows this deep, deep lack of faith in the system to actually follow through. And Anita Hill, who chairs the very commission that ran this survey, she just nails the problem. She says, yeah, people see the huge headline-making cases, but they just don't feel that same sense of accountability in their day-to-day work lives. It's not trickling down.
And this has real, serious consequences. A stunning 41% of people who saw or experienced misconduct, they didn't report it. And why? The number one reason was that they simply didn't believe anything would be done about it. That is a massive trust gap. And it's actually getting worse.
So this is what it all boils down to, right? This is the final hurdle. Hollywood has done a pretty good job of changing the conversation and even creating new tools, but it has not figured out how to rebuild trust. And here it is, the whole paradox in a nutshell. On one side, you've got a real cultural shift, more awareness, new safety rules, new jobs like intimacy coordinators. But on the other side, you've got this stall, where everything is held back by a lack of trust, a fear of reporting, and a very low faith in accountability.
And that leaves us with this huge, lingering question. The culture? Yeah, it's changing. The rules of the game are clearer now than they've ever been. But if people don't believe those rules apply equally to everyone, especially the people at the very top, then what on earth is it going to take to actually shift the power?